I found a room behind my bedroom wall. Some discoveries aren't meant to be made, and some rooms exist for reasons that should stay buried. I bought the house on Maple Street because it was the only thing I could afford after the divorce. Sarah got everything else. The modern condo downtown, the car that didn't break down every other week, even our dog Chester. All I got was half the equity from our old place, which in today's market meant I could afford exactly one house. A 1920s colonial that had been sitting empty for 8 months, priced to move because of what the realtor diplomatically called deferred maintenance. The house had good bones, she kept saying, as if that would make up for the peeling wallpaper, the groaning pipes, and the way every floorboard seemed to creak with accumulated decades of sadness. But it was mine, and after 18 months of sleeping on my brother's couch, having my own space felt like salvation, even if that space smelled faintly of mildew and broken dreams. I'd been living there for about 6 weeks when I first heard the sounds. It started as a faint scratching, like mice in the walls, which wouldn't have been surprising given the house's condition. I set out traps and figured the problem would solve itself. But the scratching persisted, and worse, it seemed to follow a pattern. 3 scratches, pause, 2 scratches, pause, 3 again. Too rhythmic to be rodents, too purposeful to be the house settling. The sounds were loudest in my bedroom, which occupied the entire second floor of what had once been the servants' quarters. The previous owners had converted the space in the 1980s, knocking out walls to create one large room with slanted ceilings and dormer windows that looked out over the backyard. It was cozy in daylight, but at night, lying in bed listening to that methodical scratching, it felt vast and hollow, like sleeping inside a drum. I tried to ignore it at first. I'd been through enough stress with the divorce, the job change, the whole upheaval of rebuilding my life at 38. The last thing I needed was to develop some kind of anxiety disorder about house noises. But after 2 weeks of interrupted sleep, I started investigating during the day, running my hands along the walls, looking for gaps or loose boards that might explain the sound. That's when I noticed the inconsistency in the bedroom's dimensions. From the inside, the room felt spacious but not enormous, maybe 20 feet by 15. But when I went outside and looked at the house's footprint, the math didn't add up. The second floor extended further back than my bedroom's interior walls suggested. There should have been another 8 feet of space somewhere, but I couldn't figure out where it had gone. I pulled up the original blueprints at the county clerk's office, spending my lunch break hunched over yellowed papers that smelled like dust and bureaucracy. The 1923 architectural drawings showed my bedroom as 2 separate rooms, a larger one in front and a smaller one behind it, connected by a doorway. But there was no doorway in my bedroom. The back wall was solid, covered in the same faded floral wallpaper as the rest of the room.